Diminishing enrollment is real. Kids are starting to come to my school specifically knowing that there's sports broadcasting. If you can get the kid to voluntarily put the phone down, that's the mark of success.
Picture 20 plus high school students working together as a team in a professional broadcast production environment. This has been a reality at Troy High School for many years. Today we have Jesse Knowles in the studio to reveal how his unique media program came to fruition.
I started off as an engineering student. My second year of college, I needed a social endeavor. So I joined the choir. And I ended up falling in love with the music. So after doing 5 years of engineering, I stuck around for 2 more years, got a degree in music. And then I wanted to start a choir program somewhere that didn't have a choir program. And that's what led me to Troy High School. Troy High School did not have a choir program at the time. So we also have a bunch of specialty programs. And so one of the things I did early on, year one, I proposed a class because I love photography. So I proposed that not only would I be building a choir program while teaching math and science, but I'd also maybe get to teach a photography class, something I love to do. So that's what started the media pathway, and that was in 1997. There I am in 1997, starting with doing some very basic photography, I evolved to some video. I wrote a grant, a competitive grant. I won, didn't expect to win. And I had a studio built, and from that studio being built, we started doing some broadcast journalism. Then we started doing a live morning show. So we have 8 minutes of morning broadcast every morning. And then from that was the natural evolution to sports broadcasting. So we also broadcast all home league varsity sports that allow it.
You were clearly way ahead of the trend at implementing a high school, high-end media production facility. Many of the school districts now see the need and are desperately trying to implement a similar program. How did you secure the funding, and what prompted you to create the program in the first place?
What prompted me to start it all was just a natural progression. So I did photography, and then you realize soon thereafter was they like video, and then the importance of audio. And so it kind of grew, and then from photography, I actually started film, and then from film, broadcast, and from broadcast, sports broadcasting. So what I have learned in all of education is you must build it first with no budget, no facilities, no instruction. You kind of have to be entrepreneurial. You have to decide, this is the thing I want to do. So like, for example, if a school is wanting to start sports broadcasting, I would say with the fewest amount of dollars spent, try to start a class, get the curriculum, set some standards, and then do it. And then once it's done, you will find the support. But you show them that you can do it. You show them that it's possible. You show them that you have a passion for it. You can get some kids to buy into that passion, and then you will get the support. My advice to anybody who's wanting to start a program is to just figure it out. Just do it. And don't worry about industry alignment. Don't worry about quality. Worry about getting a crew of people fired up and learning. Once that happens, you'll find all the support you need. You'll find all the money you need. You'll find all the procedures and grants and things that you have to do to get that money.
How does your broadcast recording facility and curriculum contribute to the parent participation or the enrollment growth of Troy High School?
So special programs are beneficial to schools, period. It seems to be more and more that kids are targeting special programs, whether it be some sort of sports thing, some sort of art thing, some sort of academic thing. And so this is another one of those items. And it's special. I think it's very special in that you can't do this by yourself. There is not a broadcast that can happen with one person. It takes a crew. And because it takes a crew, you essentially are teaching kids how to work with each other. And with this, so much of the time spent looking down at a phone, isn't it nice to create these things where you can get kids to interact and you get them to do these other things that are just frankly dependent on others. diminishing enrollment is real. It's just the region that we're in is diminishing enrollment. And so what schools are doing is developing special programs to keep kids coming to their schools. And this can be one of those specialty programs. And in fact, kids are starting to come to my school specifically knowing that there's sports broadcasting, there's broadcast journalism. And so it is a way to not only fantastically educate the kids you have, but it's also a way to be attractive to other students who may be at other schools. And it's also, I mean, for you administrators out there, it's also really nice that your communication, so if all the kids are watching a show every day, then your communication is good, and that show is also available to parents. So when it comes to like enrolling for AP exams or getting some counseling or, you know, learning about the wellness center, everybody has that nice little block of time.
Well, you already have what most schools are aspiring to have. What drew you to Tech Arts in the first place? And, you know, tell me how you were able to come in and leverage some of our resources to expand the capabilities of your system.
So I started exactly how I described. I started with, I went to Home Depot and bought a shop light, and that was our studio light. You know, I started bare bones because I'm like, hey, I have this idea, right? And so you execute the idea, and then the funding comes, and then you get. So version 0 was the bare bones, like laughable. Version 1 was this industry standard studio with cameras that you operate like a professional, and so that was great. But this stuff gets old, and so you were instrumental in helping us modernize and getting into the digital era, and going from an analog audio workflow to a digital workflow. You facilitated all that was necessary for us to go from a 1080 older actually a 1/3 CC chip to a full-size sensor 4K workflow.
Yeah, as well as the console, obviously, going digitally from an audio perspective is probably really adding versatility because you have all the different rooms and connectivity.
Yes. I'd love to say it was easy and smooth. You did everything you could to make it easy and smooth, and it's wonderful. You and I designed something that was very powerful and very versatile, and me being a musician also, I wanted to be able to do some incredible music things. And so it's a very powerful, very user-rich environment, and it is always the case that's a little harder to learn. So I had my work cut out for me, getting the students up to speed on it. But all it takes is getting a couple students, and then those students spread to others, and it's now an absolutely amazing setup that the kids work with beautifully, create high fidelity, distribute it beautifully, and so very happy with the modernization. So
right, just ongoing training, and I love that you use shadowing as your main tool for students to feed each other and to pass on. You know.
Yeah. So anybody who's wanting to start this, who's thinking, oh, okay, I'd like to do that. If you're a teacher and you're used to teaching the same lesson to all the kids at the same time, this is not the thing for you. It takes you setting somebody up on teleprompter and audio and getting them to learn how to mic people up, and then there are 17 different jobs that need to be done every day. And to get back to that team environment I was speaking of, you can't teach. You can't even really effectively monitor all 17. This is where you start building trust, building team, and that becomes the thing that you do.
So you're teaching high schoolers how to empower other high schoolers.
Oh, for sure.
That's huge.
Yeah.
What is the one key thing that you can offer the educational community about getting the budgets approved along the way?
The key thing for budgets, there are plenty, and I mean plenty of resources. The state of California recently has asked for 5% of all education going to the arts. And so everything I do, I could utilize that money, especially because if it were something I was to start new, that's essentially what that money is for. I also, through CTE, Career Technical Education, there are lots of different chunks and lots of different ways in which a teacher can be certified or qualified to be a CTE teacher. And in doing so, you're essentially eligible for lots of money from the county. So it's not even coming through the school's budget, it's coming through district or county budgets. So there's lots of ways to tap into money there.
What success stories have you had from students that got through your program that might have ended up professionally doing it or outside of social media?
I have a student who's working for the NFL. I have a student who actually did some World Cup work. I have a couple of students who are now producers in the TV/content realm. A lot of kids go to Chapman, ASU. I have a kid going to USC. So we're essentially checking off all the local broadcast journalism / film schools.
What infrastructure was in place, and what do you wish you had done differently before we got involved?
Early on, I think this is probably key. Early on, again, the very first setup that you do, like if you want to do broadcast journalism or sports broadcasting, that very first setup, just as basic as can be, is key. And then move to the professional level stuff. And don't get cute with, oh, this device and that device. And like, think holistically, think big picture. So my advice is get that first proof of concept done, and then get your funding sources, and then start with industry standard equipment and industry standard workflow. Start with the industry standard workflow because, well, that's what prepares them for the real world, and that's essentially what we want. And what it also does is this is the strangest thing to say, but it saves you money. It's serviceable, it's repairable, it is meant to be handled, it's meant to be durable. And so what ends up happening is you don't replace that industry standard camera. Pro stuff survives. So that would be my recommendation. Thank goodness I got recommended into that, and I thought it was just laughable how much money. But I was able to manage the money part, and I was able to, in my first, 1.0 studio, was able to have professional stuff. And then it's upgradable. And so that's also huge. That's where you came in. You helped me upgrade that which I already had. It's really important that you go to the pro stuff as soon as possible.
Well, I know you invested a lot of time on the foundational broadcast components and making it all happen. What have you learned about when to DIY and when not to DIY?
If you're going to venture down a road and you don't even know the road, there's going to be these moments of, I don't know, did I do this right? Am I doing this wrong? I can't get this to work. And it's those moments that can really, really steal a weekend. You have to have people help you. And you have to be willing to venture into the unknown and work really hard to find out all that you can. It's not easy to learn every single device that I have, but it certainly helps. And then when kids go to use it, and this is key, you buy devices, you learn how to use them, and then when a kid goes to use them, you're not fearful that they're going to mess it up. Because if you know how to get it back to its fundamentals, you know how to reset it or whatever the case might be, then you don't mind if a kid comes and pushes all the buttons and does all the things that they're inevitably going to do in their learning process. So it's kind of key. You do have to spend some time.
They can't be afraid of it.
And they can be afraid of it, but if you're not, that helps them.
We opted to install an actual digital audio mixer as opposed to the mix in the box situation that you had previously. Has it improved the quality of the sound? And secondly, has it been easier to operate for the students or?
So the sound quality absolutely improved, and the ways in which we can distribute audio and we can add processing to all of that distribution is stunning and amazing, and was quite the learning curve for me. Here suddenly we go from a simpler system to a more elaborate system. And again, my rule is I got to learn it, right? And so I spent a lot of time learning it, and it's amazing. It's amazing what it can do. We opted for this more complex system so that I can have the option of not only the distribution, not only the control, but also so that we could roll the cameras to the side, and then we could set up a drum kit or a band, and we could do some really high quality recording. So I wanted all those things, and with those things came some complexity. And with complexity comes a little bit steeper learning curve. And so I knew that going in, and actually your crew has been instrumental in helping me, because every once in a while something would happen. Instantly Brennan or Jason or whomever would hop on, take over my console, tell me to try this, try that, and inevitably your work was always good. It was what I was doing that was at fault.
You were
And
learning. You push the buttons.
Yeah,
It's
push the button.
okay.
Yeah, for sure. And so it was nice to have the support. So I went for complexity, and you gave me confidence because of the support you were sure to give.
Are there any pain points in the current system you have that you wish functioned differently?
Actually the biggest pain point to my mind is the acquisition of equipment. It's not the funding of it, it's the acquisition of it. Because at the end of the day, every single device you get, whether it's lights, audio, camera, mixing equipment, all of it needs to go towards your standards. What is it that you're teaching? And if it doesn't do that, then you don't need that. Oh, this would be cool to have. No, you don't buy the stuff that's cool to have. You buy the stuff that will facilitate you teaching the standards. So then you go and you spend all the time and energy researching the camera, and then you have to get a bid, and then you have to get, multiple bids sometimes, and then it turns into this whole purchasing process that is time consuming. So you got to kind of think, you're thinking in January, February, what your standards you're going to start teaching next year, and what's your devices that you want to have in place to teach those things. The pain point is you got to be 6 months ahead.
Tell me about your lookup movement.
The lookup is, you see kids doing this a lot, and you want them to look up and you want them to be in the world. And you will not find a teacher. You will not interview a teacher who's figured it out, or a teacher who thinks that it's okay that all these kids are so engaged in their social media. It is disheartening to me for myriad reasons, and I won't get into the educational research or the social research or the psychological research. Very little of it's good. And so you have these kids who are different because of these devices. And so you want them as engaged as possible, and you have this enemy that's taken 5.5 hours a day of their time. And we want them as engaged, we want them learning. And so my Just Look Up campaign is me having difficulty sitting idly by and watching this, what I think to be tragedy, happen. So if I can get kids to look up, get kids to set their phone down for a little while, then I feel like I've done my part. And yes, there's all kinds of policies, and there might be people screaming, yes, just take away their phones. You take away something from somebody who's addicted, and now they're withdrawing, right? So you don't have the same kid. You've taken the phone away, great, but you still don't have the same kid. But if you can get the kid to voluntarily put the phone down, in other words, reject that interruption and engage in your world, then I feel like that's the mark of success.
Lastly, tell me what's next for Omnia Studios at Troy High School.
Omnia Studios at Troy High School. So we broadcast all home league varsity. We do an 8-minute show at the end of every second period. So we're going to continue with that. I would say I'm more technically capable than I am content. So one of my goals is to improve the delivery of content, the quality of the content, the breadth and depth of the content. So that's always on the forefront, and I have some ideas for next year with that. Right now, it's on my mind, certainly, to maybe do a look-up campaign, maybe do a documentary on looking up. And thanks to you, I am now equipped with some really high-end cameras and lensing, and so we have the capacity of maybe doing some feature film quality, bigger projects. So
it sounds like a great direction. I just feel like you have accomplished so much over at Troy, and it blew my mind from the get-go, which is why I wanted to interview you. I knew that there'd be, if we get your story out, it would be an inspiration to people that are trying to accomplish the same thing in the education market. So I just appreciate you making time for this.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
And sharing
Thanks
your
for having
story.
me.
Not
Yeah.
everyone wants to just spill it all out, but you know, you've got such a vision, and it's exciting. So thanks again.
Thanks.
I appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks.
You got it. If this was helpful, check out our other Tech Arts videos, subscribe for more, and visit our website to see our latest projects and integrations.